The National Association of Secondary and Elementary School Principals recognized October as National Principals Month. The leadership of school principals is critical to the success of a school. The month is intended to recognize those efforts and express appreciation for the commitment they make to our children. Sylacauga City Schools is fortunate to have 4 exceptional principals in its schools, and we're joined this morning by the longest tenured principal in the Sylacauga City School System, Mr. Gary Rivers. Gary, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in education.
Yes, my first degree was in business marketing. I went to Jacksonville State University, I got a degree in business marketing and administration, and I just didn't feel like that was the field that I felt called to work in. And I got to talking to my father about it, and he thought, and both of us talking together and praying about it, I felt like maybe I was called to go into the ministry. And I went to New Orleans to the Baptist Seminary there, spent 2 years there, and just kind of struggled with in prayer about that, whether or not that was what I was supposed to do. I came back and started working as a counselor at an adolescent wilderness camp, the Bridge program, and found out that that was what I wanted to do, was work with students, work with children, and started back in school at Jacksonville State, and started working on my master's in education, and interviewed in several places through the alternative 5th-year program, and interviewed at Sylacauga High School with Mr. Jack Hush and Gail Jones. And
that seemed like forever ago, don't it?
Yes, and they gave me the opportunity, and so that's how I got started. I spent 4 years there, and worked under Sharon Blythe there. She was a great mentor, her and Gail Jones and Mr. Hush and Mr. Porch were. And moved that from there to Nichols-Lawson as the assistant principal, Mr. Douglas, and with Gerald Douglas, and worked under his tutelage for 6 years there, and then had the opportunity when Mr. Dees retired to be the principal at Pinecrest Elementary School. So I spent 6 years there, and then the last 2 years, I've been at Nicholls Lawson as principal.
Now you're actually in your 8th year as principal, right?
Right, yes, sir.
And so second year at Nicholls Lawson. And what's going on at Nicholls Lawson in 2017, Gary?
Yeah, we have quite a bit going on at the present. Today is this month is Parent Involvement Month, and Parent Visitation is today. So we're expecting quite a crowd today at Nichols Lawson Middle School. A lot of folks will say that the parents don't support as much at the middle school, and the numbers are not quite as much as you would see at the elementary school, but in Sylacauga they do support, and we expect to see somewhere around 300 parents here at Nichols Lawson today. We had right at 200 grandparents at our Grandparents' Day. We've got this week is Red Ribbon Week, and we've got several activities going on with that. Our counselors are doing classes on drug awareness throughout the week, and we've had the opportunity to have 2 counselors at Nichols Lawson this year. Dr. Freeman was able to do that. We always have a lot of needs. Middle school students and high school students seem to have, most of the time they're the most needy students in the area of needing the extra attention, and so we had the opportunity to have 2 counselors, so they'll be working quite heavily with the students this week, and we just finished up our football season.
How'd that go?
It went great. We were undefeated this year.
Hey, ain't bad.
And we had the opportunity to have a county championship this year. We've not had that in the past, and so we were the big school champion this year.
Fantastic.
Real well.
Hey, how is Gary Rivers as our principal of the month this morning? He is in his second year at Nichols Lawson Middle School. How's the classrooms changed, or have they changed, Gary?
Yes, they've changed quite a bit over the last few years with the way we do instruction, the way students learn. We're actually involved in a program called EMINTS, which is enhancing, and it was out of a group out of Missouri, Enhancing Missouri Technology with Instructional Strategies. And basically, the instructional strategies, the research-based instructional strategies that you look for in the classroom where the students are working together. There's a lot of inquiry-based learning going on, research, and then we incorporate those applications through technology, utilizing those different elements that we have with technology and team those up together to enhance and engage our students at a greater rate. One of the lessons that we just worked on through this program, we have it's where the students will go in and we give them a topic, and they say it's how to design a parachute, and they actually go in and they research that, spend quite a bit of time researching how to build a parachute, and then we give them materials to build a parachute, and then they build it and they make those changes, and they have to use you do a lot of problem-based critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and then they have to summarize it and give their findings and that kind of thing. So it's more hands-on, more technology-based, more research, critical thinking kind of skills that we do now, more than just all teacher-guided instruction, lecture style.
Rewards. You know, kids, younger kids, older kids, old folks, we like to be rewarded for jobs well done. How do you guys do that?
We do several different things. We have our for our students that we see doing things special, extra in school. We have what we call our champions cards, and our champions are our virtues, which is what we recognize each month through our advisory process. But those champions virtues card, we give those for students that we see doing something extraordinary, and then at the end of the month we actually do an activity with them and have one of the local vendors supply edibles or different things that the kids can enjoy during that time. And then we recognize them again at the end of each 9 weeks. We recognize our students that make all A's and B's. And we also recognize students for good behavior. We recognize our students for, we also recognize this time we gave out championship belts, like the Alabama football belts that you see them holding up on the sidelines. We gave away championship belts for the top student GPA at each grade level. And anyway, and PTO has a big part of that. For the students that make all A's or all A's and B's, we do drawings for cash prizes also.
You've been around a number of years and know the importance of making a child feel like they are somebody.
Right. Yes, sir. You know, when
like
and working with children,
you know?
Yes, sir. That's what it's all about. You know, I really employ the federal mandate that says in loco parentis, which means we're in place of their parents. So we want to treat them as if they're just like they're our own. We work to make sure we offer them the adequate discipline, encouragement, and give them strategies to help them to develop their self-esteem, all of those different things. But the main thing is just know that we're there for them. We advocate for them. We have an open door policy. We care for them, and hold them accountable too. And a lot of times people will say that the middle school it's hard to keep them within the lines. But if you set those boundaries and they know what they are, they'll stay within those boundaries and they'll work with you.
The Chromebook implementation, explain that.
Yes, sir. We've moved from, like we talked about earlier, having more teacher-led instruction to more student has more of an opportunity. It's more guided by the teachers, and the students are actually a part of the instruction. They do a little bit more. Some of it's student-led, and they have the opportunity to have each student has a Chromebook. And so where before we had labs that we would go to, or we would have a few that we would move around from class to class, but now each student has a device, and it kind of levels the playing field for all students to have the opportunity to learn. And it's been a great process so far this year.
Gary Rivers, who is our spotlight principal in our Sylacauga City School System. He is in his 8 years principal and second at Nichols-Lawson Middle School. Explain accreditation and how important that is.
It's very important. Accreditation is the old SACS accreditation. The name has changed to Advanced Ed, but it gives us the opportunity to look back or to see how well we are improving each and every year. They come every 5 years, and we have an engagement review team that comes and looks to see. And it gives us the opportunity to get feedback from parents, students, and our stakeholders. We had the opportunity to have surveys. We do climate surveys for parents, climate surveys for students, climate surveys for teachers, and then other types of surveys too that we do for parents, students, and teachers. All of that information is compiled along with teacher evaluations and other types of interviews that have been going on and will continue to go on through the process. And so it gives us the opportunity to see where we need to improve, and it also, it's just as important, sees where we are doing well, those powerful practices that we employ. So.
Yeah, you touched on a little bit earlier about the football team winning the junior high county championship in the big school. Not only football season is ended now for those guys, but volleyball, and you got basketball coming up too.
Yes, we had a great basketball season, Miss Beaudry. I didn't fail to mention the coaches for our middle school team with Coach Wilkinson, Chad Wilkinson, Coach Blackerby, Coach Brooks, and Coach Lane, and also Coach Blackman. He came and he worked with us this year with the middle school. Man. That's right. Still hanging in there, still working hard.
Yes. You got basketball game coming up early November too.
Right. November the 2nd is our first home game. We have one October the 30th, and the first home game will be against Clay Central. We play Alex City away on October the 30th. So we're looking forward to our
Finally, this
season.
morning, Gary Rivers is the longest serving principal in the Sylacauga City School System. How do you want those students and parents to see you as the principal of that school?
To know that I'm there for them, know that I'm there for their children, that I care, that I love each and every one of them, enjoy working with them every day, enjoy going to work every day. You know that to know that I have found my calling, and that says a lot there. But I always employ, like I said, an open door policy. We do what we can do to advocate for the kids and encourage them to do their best and move forward.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Gary Rivers, who is a second-year principal at Nichols-Lawson Middle School, is 8th year as principal in the Sylacauga City School System. More Daybreak coming up right after this.